You were startled awake when you felt something warm touching your forehead. Opening your eyes met your husband, came the young soft gaze. His smile faltered when he noticed you were awake. Taehyung, you whispered sleepily and tried to get up, but he gently pushed you back on the bed. No, don't get up. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to wake you up. I was just trying to sneak a good night kiss. He whispered softly, slipping inside the comforter beside you. You instantly snuggled in his chest, grounding yourself in his warmth that you had been missing throughout the day. What time is it? You asked, your voice barely above a whisper as you looked up at him through your half-lidded eyes. 3 in the morning. Your eyes slightly widened at his response. You lifted your head and peeked at the digital clock placed on the nightstand. It was indeed around 3 in the morning. And you just arrived. You narrowed your eyes at him while he nodded slightly, his lips curving in a nervous smile. You sighed and shifted on your sides, turning your back at him. Hey, don't be like that. He shifted closer, wrapping an arm around your waist to rest upon your 4-month-old baby bump. He gazed it through the fabric of your nightwear and pressed it back on your shoulder. Don't touch me. You yanked his hands away and shifted to the far edge of the bed after the sudden realization that you were mad at him for making you wait. I'm sorry for being late. There was a hell lot of work to finish. Now don't be like that, sweetheart. Come to me. He grabbed your arm and pulled you against his chest despite your resistance. You groaned in annoyance, nevertheless gave up and placed your head on his chest. You have been paying more attention to your work lately. I feel ignored. You grumbled and sighed softly when his fingers smoothly glided through your hair. I'm sorry you feel like that, baby. I'll try my best to return on time from tomorrow onwards and shift my entire attention to you. Can you forgive me this last time? He booped your nose with his. This endearing gesture made you chuckle. You better do, or else you'll see the worst side of me. You playfully warned him, to which he pretended to be scared and held both of his ears. I promise, Your Highness. Now let's sleep. I'm very tired and you two need a good amount of rest. With that, you both drifted to sleep in each other's arms. The next morning, you woke up to an empty bed. You were cuddling a pillow instead of Taehyung. You sat upright, looking around in a daze as if your husband would magically pop up from somewhere. But when he didn't appear, you called out for him. Taehyung, where are you? Come back to bed. I want to sleep some more. You yelled groggily and fell back on the warm, cozy mattress. You snuggled in the sheets which still smelled like him, but they couldn't provide the kind of comfort his arms could. You were about to yell for him again, but stopped when your eyes caught something. There was a note stuck to the clock on the nightstand. I am sorry, sweetheart, but I have to rush to the office as something urgent has come up. I have made breakfast for you. Eat it before having it. Don't skip your meals and don't miss me too much. I'll try to come as early as possible. Take care of yourself and the baby. The note ended with a hand-drawn big heart. Your face saddened immediately. No, I love you. You mumbled to yourself, reading the note again and again, thinking you missed it. But there was actually no I love you written by him. Just as your mind prepared to make you bowl your eyes at it, your phone pinged. You reached for it immediately and found a text from him. I love you infinitely. Don't cry over it now. There was no space left on the note to adjust it, so here it is. The smile that appeared on your face was worth the world. You put the phone aside and decided to sleep for some more time. All the while, the big smile remained intact. Later that evening, you sat on the balcony with a cup of tea and a book. The weather was perfect to enjoy romance fiction. You opened the book and resumed it from where you had left the last time. You barely read a few sentences when your phone buzzed, startling you back to reality. The caller ID showed your best friend Nancy's name. Thus, you put the book aside and picked up the call. Ryan, her voice, tired and distressed, reached your ear. Your smile faltered slightly, sensing something wasn't right given how low she sounded. Are you okay, Nancy? That was all it took her to burst into tears. You straightened up, worry gnawed at your insides when you heard her heart wrenching cries. Talk to me, Nancy, what's wrong? But her cries got louder and even more painful. You stayed on the phone, hearing her cries. You were helpless because she lived in another city. It would take you hours to reach her, so the only choice was to wait for her to calm down. After what felt like an eternity, she finally calmed down a little, though she was still sniffing. Are you fine? Can you talk now? Daniel and I had a huge fight, and he asked for a divorce. Another sob vibrated through her chest. Your lips parted and your eyes enlarged in shock. For a few moments, you struggled to absorb it. But why? What happened that things messed up to this level? You asked, worried and confused at the same time. They were together since high school and had a daughter a few months back. For you, they were the ideal couple. Things haven't been the same since my pregnancy. His attention has drifted more to his work. We barely spend time now. It feels like there is a huge distance between us and it keeps on getting larger and larger. Explained, and you kinda relate to it. Today, I asked if we could go out somewhere. He said he wouldn't abandon his work. Since he took many leaves during my pregnancy, his boss wouldn't allow him anymore. It could jeopardize his job. I felt worse when, at least I'm trying to make things better between us and he. She burst into tears all over again. Your heart sank even more because that was what Taehyung was doing as well. He was leaving for the office early and returning late. Did it mean you both were falling apart? One thing led to another, and we got into a heated argument which ended in him asking for a divorce. She added, her voice cracking as she emptied her heart in front of you. What should I do, Ryan? I love him. I love him a lot. I can't imagine living without him. A grip on your phone tightened upon hearing her helpless cry. You wish you could do anything, everything to make things better, but unfortunately, you couldn't do anything. First of all, calm down. Nothing will happen, okay? He might have said it in the heat of anger. You know how much he loves you, right? I know things haven't been the best lately, but you two gotta stick to each other in this tough time, yeah? You heard a meek hum from the other side. Talk to him once he comes back home. You two need to work as a team, and now you both are parents as well. Anything related to you directly affects your daughter. Don't make hasty decisions only to regret them later. Your conversation was interrupted by a shrill cry from Era, Nancy's daughter. I gotta go, Ryan. Era is awake. And thank you for listening to me. I feel much better. I'll try to talk to Daniel once he comes back. You both bid goodbye and then disconnected the call. You sighed as you put the phone aside. The conversation with Nancy might have calmed her down, but it had created a new fear within your heart. You four have been friends since high school, where Daniel and Nancy were ideal couples, barely fighting, always sticking to each other through thick and thin. You and the young were poles opposite, the reckless couple who were always fighting. Breakup was like a regular routine for you both. At the time, you both were immature, impulsive, and slightly egoistic. A slight inconvenience, and you both would turn your backs on each other within seconds. However, over the span of years, you both had evolved both as a person and as a partner. Hence, you both were here, married for almost 3 years and expecting your first child. Now, fear had crept up in your nerves. When people like Daniel and Nancy, who had a strong understanding between them, could come to a phase where they were even considering a divorce, what would happen to you and Taehyung? Your relationship was certainly evolving and your bond was getting stronger. But what if the wind of unfortunate events turned out to be even stronger? What if your relationship couldn't handle the earthquake of ups and downs and shattered into pieces? And what if those pieces would be difficult to glue back together? No, no, I'm just overthinking. You shook your head as if to shake off the unwanted thoughts, but they had already corrupted your mind. Besides, Taeyong's lack of attention was only adding fuel to the fire. You knew your mind was playing with you, and before it could give rise to more fears, which didn't even exist, you grabbed your book and walked back inside. Maybe a movie would work as a distraction. The time ticked by, and soon it was one past midnight. You flipped through the channels half heartedly, paying less to no attention to the ongoing shows as your gaze kept flickering to the front door. Taeyong wasn't home till now, and your anger was intensifying with each passing moment. He made a promise just in the morning and broke it on the same day. You couldn't help but feel sad and disappointed. Besides, the earlier conversation with Nancy kept replaying in your head. Is my pregnancy really affecting our relationship? You wondered, your hands reached out to catch the tiny life growing inside you. Your attention shifted to the show where a couple was arguing and their child was speaking from behind a pillar. You couldn't help but see yourself and Taeyong in the couple, and it left a stinging feeling in your heart. You shook off your thoughts and turned off the TV. What am I even thinking? Taeyong and I would never fall apart. But what if things changed with time and one day we couldn't stand each other? You trailed off as negative thoughts clouded your mind. The more you tried not to think about it, the more you ended up making heartbreaking scenarios. Please come soon, Taeyong. I need you. As if summoned by your thoughts, the front door opened and Taeyong walked inside. His head was hanging low, his shoulders slouched in exhaustion as he turned towards the living room. He seemed oblivious to your presence as he slumped down on the couch, throwing his head back with an exaggerated sigh and closing his eyes. His head throbbed badly, his eyes burned from staring at the screen for so long. He was completely worn out. For a moment, you just observed him silently and then decided to break the silence. You are late. He flinched at the sudden voice and jolted up. Startled, he looked at you with wide, scared eyes, his hand reaching to his chest where his heart drummed wildly. You scared me. Why are you awake till now? I told you not to wait for me and sleep on time, didn't I? He spoke, oblivious to the visible anger on your face. You promised you would come back early. You broke your promise, Taeyong. You said, completely ignoring his concern for your sleeping schedule. The frown on his forehead eased slowly, and he reclined back on the softness of the couch. I was occupied with work, Ryan. I tried, but I... Same excuse, different day. You snapped, interrupting him. He blinked, surprised at the sharpness of your tone. You pushed off the couch to stand in front of him while his eyes followed your movement. Do you even care about me, Kim Taeyong? Do you even realize that I am carrying a child and I need you by my side? Do you even love me or I'm no longer worthy of your attention or love? Taeyong just gaped at you dumbfounded, still processing your words. The sharpness in your tone, the anger in your eyes, and the tension on your face confused him. Was it all because he arrived home late or something else was bugging you? You need to calm down, sweetheart. There's nothing like that. I still. But you didn't let him finish. Really? Am I just yapping for nothing then? Ever since I got pregnant, you spend more time in your office than with me. What am I supposed to think? I would assume that I'm not your priority anymore, or worse, you have found someone more worthy of your care and attention. You spat angrily. Your words ate Taeyong just right. He darted a stern glare at you, trying to suppress his surmounting anger. Besides, his terrible headache was only making things worse. I know you are angry and your anger is justified, but you are crossing your limits. Oh wow, now I'm crossing the limits by confronting you for your indifference. Then tell me, Kim Taehyung, am I wrong? Aren't you ignoring me? Just tell me if you can't stand my presence and I'll leave you alone. Taehyung stood up with a jolt, thereby cutting you off. He towered over your small frame, glaring down at you with an intensity that made a shiver run down your spine. You cowered back as he took a step towards you. Come again. Repeat what you just said. You flinched when he yelled at your face. Tears pricked your eyes. No matter how many times you had fought before, he never ever raised his voice at you. It did nothing except feed your insecurities that he didn't care about you anymore. Just because you are angry doesn't mean I'll bear whatever nonsense you spit in the moment of heat. Are you even hearing yourself? Do you consider how stupid you sounded while speaking all that rubbish? You fidgeted with the hem of your shirt. Your heart thud wildly against your chest, but it didn't back down. You give me reasons to think so. I'm not crazy to make up scenarios to entertain myself. You countered, standing your ground firmly, though you were scared after seeing his anger. You were afraid that this argument would heat up to a bad end. I gave you no reasons to think that I don't care about you. It's all in your head. He replied, equally frustrated as you. Your heartbreaking accusations of him going after someone else had wounded him deeply. It hurt him to a great extent. So, I mean, I'm crazy, I'm being reckless, and I'm finding ways to fight with you? Yes, you are, he replied without second guessing himself. Your heart sank. Alright, I got it. What is the meaning of staying here when my husband thinks I'm a nuisance? I should just leave. You whispered, staring up at him with glossy eyes. He, too, was blinded by his anger. Yeah, go. It will be peaceful living without you. He responded without analyzing the extent of damage his words did and lay down on the couch, draping an arm on his eyes. A long tear slipped down your cheeks as you stared at him laying there completely unbothered. You harshly wiped your tears and made your way towards the front door. Reached out for the doorknob but paused to look back at him. He hadn't moved a muscle or made a move to stop you. You shook your head, opened the door, and walked out. Feels good, peaceful, he muttered to himself, but as soon as the sound of the door reached his ears, he sat up, alarmed. His eyes widened upon realizing that you had actually left from the house. Baby, he rushed towards the door, colliding with the table on his way. He hissed as he heard his foot. Calling out your name, he stumbled out of the door. Babe, stop, come back. He followed you out of the house and in the streets. Your feet froze and you craned your neck to look at him over your shoulder. No, go and leave in peace. I promise I won't bother you from now on, replied and resumed walking down the street. The young sighed, fastening his steps to follow you around the corner. No, I choose a chaotic life with you. Life without you is bland, uninteresting, he replied playfully, trying to ease the tension. He was aware that you had become impulsive in your pregnancy. Reciprocating the same would only mess up things even more. One of you had to be sane, and it should be him. Go away, I don't want you around me. You snapped, walking even faster. The passerby were looking at the scene with amusement. One of them even showed thumbs up to Taehyung to wish him luck to deal with his pregnant wife. You have to bear with me throughout your life. I am sorry, but I can't leave you alone, not in this lifetime at least. He grinned cheekily, following you while matching your pace. I don't want to live with you. Then where will you live? And you sure you can live without me? He asked, jogging to catch up with you. I'll live anywhere where you are not present. I'll live on the streets from now on. He replied and sat down on the sidewalk. Taeyong looked down at you amused and raised an eyebrow when you glared at him. Go away, leave me alone. Saying so, you crossed your arms and looked away, but he sat down beside you, mimicking your actions. Didn't you hear what I said? Go and live your peaceful life in your lavish mansion. Leave me alone. I don't need you. That's what I'm doing. My peace resides with you, and I'll go wherever you go. I'll live where you live, in a hut, in our lavish mansion, or in the streets. Do whatever the hell you want to do. You snapped and looked away. Silence fell over as you both sat on the sidewalk side by side. You were trembling with anger while Taehyung replayed the whole argument in his mind, deciding to talk it out once you calmed down. Are you ready to go back? He asked after a long moment of silence. A response was expected. No, and I'm not going back. He again fell silent, enjoying the night view while patiently waiting for you to calm down. From a sidelong glance, he noticed you hugging yourself to keep yourself warm. Then he noticed that you were only wearing a thin nightshirt which was doing nothing to shield you from the cold. Careless woman, he muttered under his breath, took out his suit jacket and draped it around your shoulders. You glared at him and shrugged off the jacket. Fine, anything but compromise with your health. He warned sternly and this time made you wear it. You rolled your eyes but didn't protest this time. He smiled, holding the two edges of the jacket close to keep you warm. You look good. You didn't reply and shifted away from him after yanking his hands off. He sighed at your stubborn attitude. Are you ready to go back? The night is getting cold. You might get sick. But this only made you press your palms against your ears as if to stop hearing him. He shook his head helplessly, having no other choice except to bear with you. Another moment of silence followed. This time, when he looked at you, he found you staring at the food truck parked across the street. Your gaze was stuck on the steamy hot dogs they were serving. The young smiled to himself, knowing you were craving them but too stubborn to ask for it. Are you hungry? Do you want hot dogs? You narrowed your eyes at him and looked away. You gulped. The thought of devouring those crunchy hot dogs seemed tempting, but your stubbornness was holding you back. Fine, but I am hungry. I'll just go and buy some of those. With annoying smirk, he got up and made his way towards a food truck. Your eyes sparkled with delight when you watched him returning with two hot dogs, one in each hand. But instead of handing them to you, he sat beside you and took a bite. Wow, these are amazing. You watched him taking another bite, intentionally ignoring your longing gaze. Shameless, you hit on his shoulder. He looked at you, feigning a shocked expression. What did I do? I'm just eating. That's the issue. You are eating alone. You didn't even bother asking me. How could you do that? You know how much I love hot dogs. You whined while he tried his best to suppress his smile but failed terribly. I asked you though, you didn't want it. So what? You could have pestered me. I might have eaten it on the second try, but you didn't even bother offering me. You didn't think that your pregnant wife might be hungry. My bad, my lady, here you go. He passed a hot dog to you and you wasted no time in devouring it. His smile widened watching you eat. Within moments, you finished it and eyed the other one in his hands. You want this one too? You nodded meekly. With a chuckle, he handed you the other one as well. As you took a bite, tears poured in your eyes and streamed down your cheeks. Taehyung's smile slowly disappeared. Hey, what's wrong? You didn't like it? A frown formed on his forehead, wondering what went wrong. Do you not love me anymore, Taehyung? You asked, making his heart clench. He shifted closer, rubbing a hand along your back. What made you think like that? Today, Nancy called me. She said pregnancy affected their relationship in a bad way. It created distance between them, and I couldn't help but feel the same. I feel like we are drifting apart. You explained and realized that you exaggerated the whole matter and made things worse. I am sorry, Taeyong. I shouldn't have talked to you like that. I shouldn't have questioned your love. I shouldn't have said those words. I don't know what had gotten into me that I acted so impulsively. I'm so sorry. trailed off, and burst into sobs. Taehyung sighed and pulled your head to his chest. I am sorry too for yelling at you, for speaking to you in such a hostile manner. It's my fault too. I could have used better ways to deal with the situation instead of letting my anger cloud my judgment. He rubbed your back as you sobbed against his chest. I'm struggling, Ryan. Ever since you decided to take a break from work, the load has shifted too on my shoulders. I'm struggling to handle it all. I don't want our years of hard work to go in vain. That's why I'm paying more attention to it. But that doesn't mean my love for you has faded. I still love you a lot, maybe even more now. Give me some time. Once I'll fix everything at the office, I won't leave your side even for a moment. You nuzzle against his chest, thinking how wrong you were to not consider his side of the story. Instead of sticking to each other and being each other's sport, you only thought for yourself. Meanwhile, Taeyong felt guilty for not communicating about it earlier. He thought he would handle everything on his own without bugging you, but things messed up pretty badly. This was a lesson for both of you to talk instead of making assumption on your own. I'm worried for Nancy and Daniel though. I hope they resolve the issue instead of going for a divorce. News are breaking through the eerie silence. They will. They are more mature than us and have been through these situations before. I'm sure they'll handle it, and we too will go through everything together. It's all about good communication and teamwork. Remember, it's you and I against the problem, not the other way around. You hummed, looking up at him to meet his eyes. He smiled down at you. Are we good now? You reciprocated the smile and nodded. So, you ready to go home? You shook your head, mischief glinting in your eyes. You raised an eyebrow. Still no? Yes, I don't want to go home. Not yet, I mean. I want to explore more street food. Please, I'm hungry. You pleaded, blinking up at him with those innocent eyes which worked every time. He sat on the feet and got up, extending a hand towards you. Let's go then, on a hunt of street food, my lady. You squealed in delight and placed your hand on his outstretched one. He tugged at it to help you stand up, and then you both made your way towards the small stalls nearby.